We are reading today from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 3, uh, Chapter 25, entitled Devotional Service, and text 21, 22, and 23. So I just read the verses. तितिक्षवः कारुणिका सूहृद सर्वदेहिनां अजातशत्रव शान्त साधव साधुभूषण मयि अनन्येन भावेन भक्तिं कुर्वन्ति ये दृढं मत्कृते त्यक्तकर्मणा कर्माणस् त्यक्तस्वजनबान्धवः. And text 23. मदाश्रय कथामृष्टा शृण्वन्ति कथयन्ति च तपन्ति विविधास्तापा नैतान् मद्गतचेतसा. We'll read the translations. The symptoms of a sadhu are that he is tolerant, merciful, and friendly to all living entities. He has no enemies. He is peaceful. He abides by the scriptures, and all his characteristics are sublime. Such a sadhu engages in staunch devotional service to the Lord without deviation. For the sake of the Lord, he renounces all other connections, such as family relationships and friendly acquaintances within the world. And text 23, engaged constantly in chanting and hearing about me, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, the sadhus do not suffer from material miseries because they are always filled with thoughts of my pastimes and activities. Om Ajnanatimirandhasya Jnananjanashalakhaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guruho Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Guru Vaishnavamsha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunatham Vitam Tam Sajivam साद्वैतम सावधूतम परिजना सहितम कृष्ण चैतन्य देवम श्री राधा कृष्ण पादान सहगण ललिता श्री विशाखान्वितांश्च हे कृष्णा करुणा सिंधु दीनबंधु जगत्पते गोपेशा गोपिका कांता राधा कांता नमोस्तुते तप्त कांचन गौरांगी श्री राधे वृंदावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्यैव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः. नमो विष्णुपादाय कृष्णपृष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदान्त स्वामिनिति नामिने नमस्ते सरस्वती देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्य देश तारिणे जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर शिवासादि गौर भक्तवृंद हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम राम हरे हरे. हरे कृष्णा. So, welcome back everybody for today's discussion. We have been reading from Srimad Bhagavatam. Hare Krishna. We have a special visitor today. Our Ishwar Prabhu has come here after a very long time. I was not. I have also been playing truant for a long time. Hare Krishna. So, welcome to all the devotees. And special welcome to our Ishwar Prabhu. He is always there online. Suddenly he manifested from here to there. So, That's very nice to see. Yeah. Hare Krishna. So, we have been discussing from this chapter of, Shrimad Bhagavatam, which is entitled The Glories of Devotional Service. Okay. And till now, what we have been discussing, the discussion between Mother Devahuti and Lord Kapila, who is the Supreme Lord, who is incarnated in the form of her son. So she is asking him various questions that how do I get out of this, attachment that I have to my body and things in connection with this body. Janasya mohoya aham mameti. How do I get out of this? So, he starts by discussing the Adhyatmika Yoga, and he says pretty conclusively that bhakti is the way, to get out of this cycle of birth and death. So he compares it with other processes, with with jnana, with yoga and Ashtanga yoga, and he says that this is the best way, bhakti. Very conclusively, he says it. And then how to get bhakti? We get bhakti basically by, he says that attachment to this material world cannot be just killed like that. It's not possible. It's too much attachment is there. Too many threads are there which connect us to, material enjoyment that we have had in previous lifetimes, in this lifetime. There are so many ropes that tie us. So he says that attachment cannot be killed, it has to be transferred to the right thing. If we get attached to the sadhus, then it opens the door to liberation. That if we just need to get attached to a sadhu. So, who is a sadhu? Sadhu is one described as one who is unflinchingly engaged in devotional service. मतलब बिना झिझक के he is connected to bhakti. And he says that if one associates with a sadhu, then that sadhu will teach that person, whoever it is. If we associate with a saintly person, कोई भी साधु के साथ अगर हम लोग संग रखते हैं, what happens? The sadhu will teach us how to become a devotee. He will teach us how to follow the process of bhakti. He will make us a worshipper and a sincere servant of the Lord. These are the gifts of a sadhu. Sadhu is not that, last time we were discussing ना, ऐसा नहीं कि पत्थर फेंका and आदमी अमीर बन गया. See, that is, he is avdut. He may be a devotee, but if you are approaching a sadhu for that, then you are approaching for wrong thing. The real gift that a sadhu gives you is this. He helps you to become a devotee, helps you to become a worshipper and servant of the Supreme Lord. So, the path, therefore, the path to liberation starts with the association of a sadhu. We discussed sadhu sangha, sarva shastra koi, lava matra sadhu sangha, sarva siddhi hoy. So, how do you recognize a sadhu? इतना सब साधु 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 बोल दिया, तो साधु को recognize कैसे किया जाए? How do we understand who is a sadhu? So, scriptures make it easy for us. See, sometimes we may be struggling, so many things we struggle in this material world to understand. Why is the world like this? ऐसा क्यों होता है? Why does these things happen? So we struggle with so many things in this material world. But Shastra is very clear and very compassionate. Now, Shastra is like a good friend, It's like a good friend that we have who is always available for us and who has all the answers. कभी कभी हम लोग एक किसी फ्रेंड के पास जाते हैं और वो फ्रेंड को बोलते हैं कि यार क्या करना चाहिए यार, मेरा तो बहुत हालत खराब है, क्या करना चाहिए, तेरे को क्या लगता है? एंड वो ऐसा एडवाइस देगा आपको कि वो एडवाइस आप फॉलो करो तो आपका सत्यानाश हो जाए. ही इज सेइंग विद, he's your well wisher. He's not saying to destroy you. He's your friend and maybe he has good intention in his heart. बट उसका एडवाइस आप फॉलो करोगे तो आपका सत्यानाश हो जाएगा. Completely you'll be finished. Because they don't have the wisdom, they don't have the maturity, they don't have the understanding of what life is, what are the implications. अगर आपने कोई काम किया उससे क्या फर्क पड़ेगा, what will happen, what will happen in this world. So we should have someone who is a friend who we can rely on under all circumstances, in all conditions of life, at all times, isn't it? कोई तो होना चाहिए. That for us is scripture. That for us is sadhu. So scripture tells us in the very next verse the Lord, because he is telling that you must associate with the sadhu in order to get out of cycle of birth and death, in order to get liberated from this material world, in order to break the attachment of janasya mohoyam aham mameti. वो तोड़ने के लिए आपको क्या करना है? साधु का संग लेना है. So in the very next verse, in verse number 21, Lord Kapila gives the description of what is a sadhu. The very famous verse, Titikshava Karunika Surida Sarva Dehinam Ajata Shatravah Shantaha Sadhava Sadhu Bhushana. The symptoms of a sadhu is that he is tolerant, merciful, and friendly to all living entities. पहला यहाँ से शुरू हो. He's tolerant, merciful, and friendly to all living entities. He has no enemies. He is peaceful. He abides by the scriptures, and all his characteristics are sublime. So this is the description given by whom? Who is describing sadhu over here? Lord Kapil Dev, Supreme Lord himself is telling by sadhu means like this. Okay, not that if you have, he has not mentioned that he has long matted hair and big beard. He has not said that. So because those are external things. See, externally a person may be dressed in pant shirt, t-shirt, with nice hairstyle and everything proper. Externally they may look like any ordinary person in this world. But if they have these characteristics, we accept that they are sadhu. See, a lot of people in this world may have tolerance. They may be merciful to animals, merciful to people who are struggling in this world. They may be friendly to all living entities, to dogs, cats, cows, animals, everyone, very merciful. They may have no enemies. They may consider nobody as enemy. They may be peaceful. But does that make them a sadhu? ये सवाल उठता है ना कि बाबा ये 6 में से 5 तो है अपने पास, तो क्या हम साधु नहीं हुए? नहीं हुए, because the sixth one is the most important one, that he abides by the scriptures. Very important, because a lot of people in the, not lot, I'll say minority hai this world who are like this, tolerant, merciful, friend of everyone, no enemies, very peaceful. Very few people are there in this world who are like this. So they are wonderful people. We are not saying that we disrespect them in any way, because they are minority. ऐसे लोग दुनिया में minority, बहुत कम मिलते हैं ऐसे लोग दुनिया में. If we find such a person, we should make them our friend. No problem. But understand, don't misunderstand that this person is also sadhu. Because the most important, the next verse also describes what are the characteristics of a sadhu. Such a sadhu engages in staunch devotional service to the Lord without deviation. तो यहाँ पे मतलब वो खटाक से वो फिल्टर होके ऐसा बहुत ही कम. That is why Krishna says in the Gita, मनुष्यानां सहस्रेषु कश्चित् यतति सिद्धये. That amongst many people come into this definition. बहुत कम लोग हैं. Therefore, we have to understand what is a sadhu, what are the characteristics of a sadhu. So, here in this purport also, Srila Prabhupada is very beautiful purport to this verse. I would encourage you all to please study this verse. Text 21, 3.25.2021. Okay. So, the first quality of a sadhu, first, first one that is mentioned here, titikshavaha. Titikshava means tolerant. In the Gita also, Krishna says what? Matra sparshasthu kaunteya chitoshna sukha dukkada agama apayano nityas tams titikshava sabharata. He says be tolerant. Arjuna, he is telling Arjuna in the Gita that you please be tolerant. He says that, this happiness and distress, joy and misery, they are like coming and going of summer and winter season. It is like in Mumbai, we never come to know when summer went and when winter came. हमको पता ही नहीं चलता है. That doesn't mean we are titikshava. But this summer, winter in Mumbai, we never come to know. As they say jokingly, Mumbai has only 2 seasons in the year: hot and not so hot. That's it. Otherwise, the whole year it is like that only. Same. So this titikshava that Krishna speaks in the Gita, this is the first quality that he asks, he instructs practically. This is the first instruction that he gives to Arjuna in the Bhagavad Gita. He says, be tolerant. He doesn't say that, oh, you're doing bhakti, you're surrendering to me, मेरी बात मानने वाले हो, अभी बिंदास रहो, मजा है तेरे लाइफ में. No. He says misery and suffering, are going to come. Happiness will also come, suffering will also come. Please be tolerant. Titik shabha, be tolerant. So one of the important characteristics of a sadhu is that they're very tolerant. Tolerant of what? Tolerant of external situations. They are so absorbed. They're so absorbed in Krishna Katha. They're so absorbed in thoughts of Krishna that they are not affected by what is happening outside them. They are not affected by their own bodily condition. See, material world, as they say in the Gita, it is mentioned that this is dukkhalayam ashashvatam. So dukkhalaya, this material world is a miserable place. Very few people in this world are really happy. Very few. Very few means ऐसा एक हाथ की उंगलियों में गिन सकते इतने लोग होंगे जो रियली हैप्पी विद नो मिजरी. बहुत कम लोग हैं. सब लोग के लाइफ में मिजरी. इवन फ्रॉम चिल्ड्रंस एज, छोटे छोटे बच्चों को भी मिजरी है. स्कूल जाना पड़ता है, होमवर्क करना पड़ता है, क्लास में रैंक लाना पड़ता है, टीचर की डांट सुननी पड़ती है, मम्मी पापा की डांट. Misery is there for everyone at all ages, all places, all races and all species of life. Misery is there. No one is peaceful. A deer can't go and drink water. Deer, हिरन को देखा है किसी ने? Deer zoo में जाके हिरन को देखा, कितना सुंदर लगता है. ग्रेसफुली ऐसा जंप मार मार के जाता है. किसी को मन में आएगा, अरे यार हिरन होते तो कितना अच्छा होता ना. It's so nice to be a deer. But that deer doesn't have one moment of peace. एक क्षण का भी उसको पीस नहीं है. वो पानी पीने जाता है वहां पे, पानी भी ऐसा 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 देख देख के पीता है वो. एंड वो स्लोली से सिप कर रहा है तो भी एवरी फ्यू सेकंड्स इज लुकिंग हियर एंड देयर कि पीछे से कोई अटैक ना कर ले. सडनली somebody will come and attack him while he's drinking water. साइड साइड पीछे पीछे देख रहा है एंड देन पानी से मगरमच्छ आके उसको खींच. There's no peace. There's no peace. Material world is miserable place, right? But a person who is able to tolerate all this and somehow be connected to the process of bhakti, that is called titikshava. Like there is the example in Srimad Bhagavatam of Prahlad Maharaj. Prahlad Maharaj ka story sabne suna hai. Everyone has heard the story of Prahlad Maharaj. So Prahlad Maharaj is just a 5-year-old boy, little, maybe her age, she is 6 years old, right? She's 6. How old is she? She's 8. Okay, so she is bigger than Prahlad Maharaj. The Prahlad Maharaj was only 5 years old. 5 साल का था, बस, that's it. And at the age of 5, he had to go through so much suffering. Why? Simply because he declared to his father that I am a devotee. My heart is given to Vishnu, and you are making mistake of thinking that you are controller of this world. He was the controller of this world. There was no illusion there. Hiranyakashipu was the controller of the world. If and when we reach 7th canto, we will read what are the glories of Hiranyakashipu. वो भी पढ़ेंगे तो डर लगता है. What kind of a person he was? Extremely powerful. Now to tell the person, it is like going to, Vladimir Putin in Russia, going to Moscow Kremlin Square and telling Vladimir Putin that, you're a fool. You're in illusion. You think you are controller, but you are controlled by Supreme Lord. तुम्हारा कोई power नहीं है. कोई power नहीं. I'll show you my power. And, so he tells his father, who is the controller of all three worlds, that, you're in illusion. You're stuck in this dark well of ignorance. ऐसा अपने पिताजी को बोलता है. Now, he could have taken a very nice political stance. When the father asked him, what did you learn in school? He could have said, अच्छा कुछ ABCD अच्छा सीखा, बता सकता क्या क्या सीखा करके. But no, he preached what he had heard from Narad Muni. And what was the punishment? He was punished so severely. He was punished so severely. I mean, after many incidents, but he was punished. His father told his soldiers, "Kill this boy. I don't want. He is like a he's like a poison which will destroy the whole family of Rakshasas. इसको काट दो. ये पेड़ को ही काटना नहीं चाहिए अपने को, you know." So they try to pierce his body with spears and swords. They try to feed him poison. They try to throw him into a pit of snakes. Snakes के पूरा the hundreds of snakes उसमें उसको फेंक देते हैं. They put him in the fire. They put him in Holika sits with him in the lamp and puts the fire. She gets burnt, but he survives. So many things. They throw him off a cliff. कितना तरीके से मतलब वो बोलता ना 100 किसी को मारने के 100 तरीके सब 100 के 100 तरीके they try. Imagine for a young 5-year-old child what kind of disturbance this must be. What kind of torture this must be. हाँ हम लोग सुनते हैं ना कि this person had an abusive childhood, therefore he is like this. जो criminals होते हैं इस दुनिया में, a lot of people say they are criminals because they had a bad childhood, abusive parents. इससे ज्यादा क्या what abusive can you have than this, that the father is trying every creative way to kill the child? My God, right? But Prahlad Maharaj, he tolerated all of this. He showed this titikshava to the highest degree. He never complained. Not once did he tell the Lord, "My Lord, क्या है ये? मैं आपकी भक्ति कर रहा हूँ." मतलब कुछ तो इंटरवल तो दो इसमें. मतलब ये पिक्चर खत्म ही नहीं हो रही. Non-stop, one after the other, they're coming after him to kill him. Imagine what a feeling it must be. But he never gave up the process of bhakti. He never gave up his faith in the Supreme Lord. He kept meditating on the Lord in his heart. This is what is titikshava. There is this story of Haridas Thakur, who was one of the associates of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So Haridas Thakur, he was from a Muslim family, but he was given the title Namacharya. By whom? By Lord Chaitanya himself. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu himself gave him the title Namacharya because he was chanting 24 hours a day practically. Hardly used to sleep few hours. Other than that, he was chanting. Because he was chanting, he was so famous, and he was from a Muslim family. So the Muslims felt that, this person is kafir. He has become kafir. So they don't want him. And the Hindus, they became envious of him because he was getting a lot of followers. Because he was pure in his heart. So they went and complained to the king that, this person is, doing this. He is spoiling our Vedic. He is not from our community and he is spoiling our Vedic mantras by chanting them. मतलब किस लेवल का एनिमी, किस लेवल का फुलिशनेस है, राइट? वो हमारे मंत्रों को खराब कर सकते. मंत्रों को कोई खराब कर सकता है. लाइक सेइंग वाटरफॉल को किसी ने पोल्यूट कर दिया उसके अंदर नहा के. It's not possible. You can't pollute the waterfall. Waterfall is going to मतलब रास्ते में जो भी आया उसको cleanse करके निकल जाएगा. That is what holy name is. But anyway, they complained. So then the king brought him, सामने लाया उनको बोला कि बाबा क्या है, you are from Muslim community, why you are chanting this Hare Krishna? He said that, my heart, I have given my heart to Krishna. So कुछ भी हो जाए, I don't want to give up this chanting. He said, okay, you chant. करो ना, क्या तुम जोर जोर से क्यों जपा करते हो? Why you are chanting loudly like this and creating disturbance and the people are getting disturbed? Don't do no. You stop chanting or you chant. He said, I cannot. Then the Qazi who is there, he says that, "Arey, this is, unacceptable. ये person को मार डालना चाहिए. We should. He said, so Haridas Thakur said that if you break my body, you cut my body into 1,000 pieces, Jai Jadi Pran, even if my life goes away, I will never give up the holy name. I will never stop chanting Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Ram, Ram Ram. He says, I will never stop chanting. Aap chahe jo kar lo, do what you want. So the Qazi says that we will, this person is not, वो मतलब सीधे उंगली से यहाँ घी नहीं निकलने वाला. He says, इनको we will beat him, we will cane him through 22 marketplaces. We'll drag him through 22 marketplaces in that place, that kingdom, and we will cane him till he dies. So this is the situation of Haridas Thakur, and this is not from Satyuga. This is some 500 years back. Okay, ये था उनका situation. So Haridas Thakur could have very easily said, Ajitesh, it's okay, it's Ajitesh, Ajitesh, chalo, chalo, udhar aa. It's okay, it's not disturbed. So this was his situation 500 years back, that because he was chanting Hare Krishna, not willing to give up the holy name, they told him you will be caned through 22 marketplaces. And they did it. They actually took him, they actually took him, they actually dragged him to 22 marketplaces and they were caning him continuously. Imagine, मतलब चाबुक से मार रहे और घसीट के लेके जा रहे. And while they were doing it, the people, the two big guys who were caning him, while they were caning him like this, he had a look of only compassion for two of them. मतलब आप सोचो, this is a sadhu that he was not at all, मतलब कोई होता तो कैसे निर्दयी लोग हो, मैं खाली भगवान का नाम ले रहा हूं, मैंने कौन सा किसी का जान लिया है, मैंने कौन सा किसी का पैसा चुराया, मैंने कौन सा क्या पाप किया है, how you are beating me like an animal like this, one would feel. But he, the two executioners who were beating him like this, they started feeling I can't do this anymore. They are tired. Maar ke they are tired. Nothing happened to Haridas Thakur. And at the same time, he was having only compassion for them. He was having, it's okay. He was having only compassion for them. He did not have anything but compassion in his heart. He was just looking at them with so much love and so much compassion, right? Tolerating all the beatings. So this is what is a sadhu. Real tolerance. They are not affected by whatever is happening. Physical pain may be there, but they are not affected. Like Prabhupada gives the example of even Jesus Christ. That Jesus Christ, when he was being crucified, what is crucifixion? If for a moment you imagine what it means to be crucified. He's put on a cross like this. Through his hands, they put nails, and through his head or whatever, it's like, it is the most. See, these people are barbarians. It is another word to describe. Barbarians to kill somebody like that. But yeah, he tolerated it. And what was his thing? He said that, oh Lord, please forgive them, for they know not what they do. He is praying for them, like Haridas Thakur was praying for those two executioners. Jesus Christ is praying, my Lord, please forgive them, for they don't know what they're doing. Right? So this is tolerance. Then the second quality that is mentioned is karunikaha, merciful. See, we said that anyone can be merciful. Can be merciful towards a poor person. You can be merciful towards a social, someone who is being tortured, unke liye merciful. Animals ke liye merciful. PETA, there's, organizations like PETA, which is, for animal welfare and so on. You can be merciful to people, but if you are merciful only to their body, that is not really mercy. Because that body is temporary, it is going to be destroyed with the influence of time. So real mercy means what? That which is for the soul. Because if you are discussing about a sadhu ke baare mein charcha kar rahe hain, we are talking of a person who is actually merciful to the soul of everyone. So I'll give you an example of Srila Prabhupada himself. Actually, as per the Vaishnava tradition, okay, we are supposed to chant 64 rounds of the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra. Anyone here who is chanting 64 rounds every day? कोई है? हाँ? किसी को है दम रोज 64 करने का? Not easy, na? You can imagine. So Prabhupada, when he was, I don't remember the exact place and the exact details. I couldn't find the reference. But Prabhupada, in early days of ISKCON, so he was mentioning that, 64 rounds. So when he said 64 rounds, sabka muh itna chota ho gaya. That you have to chant 64 rounds of Hare Krishna Maha Mantra. So he said, all right, 32, you know. Still उनका मुंह छोटा ही था because अरे 32 कैसे करेंगे? How will do? He said, all right, 16 and no less. 16 rounds. So he was so merciful that he's taken the Vaishnav principle that it is important that they chant. नहीं तो 64 सुन के कोई chanting शुरू ही नहीं करेगा. They will just be afraid कि ये तो मेरे से कभी नहीं हो. I'll never be able to do. So for the fallen souls of Kali Yuga who have no caliber, हमारा कोई caliber ही नहीं है, of doing proper bhakti. For us, Prabhupada mercifully not diluted, he just reduced it. He said that at least 16 rounds you must chant of Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram. So this was one year of his mercy. Another one, Srila Prabhupada, see, he is a pure devotee. Srila Prabhupada, after taking sannyas diksha in 1959, he was 63 years old. He was already 63 years old. And he was living in Vrindavan in Radha Damodar temple. And in spiritual terms, Radha Damodar temple, in our Gaudiya Vaishnava line is practically called the center of the universe. मतलब वही है सब कुछ. अपने सारे आचार्यों का वहां पे समागम है. Everything is there, So he was living in Vrindavan in Radha Damodar temple, which for a Vaishnav sadhu is like the perfection of life. इससे ज्यादा क्या चाहिए? वहां पे बैठ के श्रीमद् भागवतम का translation purport लिख रहे. He could have stayed there till he left his body. But what did he do? He decided to go to the Western world and preach in English language to Westerners. Why? Because his guru had given that आदेश, उनको आदेश दिया था कि आप पाश्चात्य देश में जाके, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu का जो whatever his instructions are, the teachings of Bhagavad Gita, you give it to the people of the Western world in English language. So he left Vrindavan to go to the Western world and then brought back that Krishna consciousness to us Indians. I've been reading Prabhupada Leelamrit. Anyone here who has read Leelamrit? Yeah, so Prabhupada, we're in that group. वो group में रोज आता है. So Prabhupada Leelamrit, if you read, it reads like a thriller. आप लोग जिसको भी पढ़ना अच्छा लगता है, those who like to read thriller सबको अच्छा लगता है पढ़ने. पढ़ा होगा ना thriller जिंदगी में. Prabhupada Leelamrit is like thriller. The first part is tough. Little मतलब वो थोड़ा आपको you have to go through. But from the point where he reaches the US and the struggles start, and then it is unbelievable. मतलब आप अगर वो पढ़ोगे तो आपको लगेगा ये मुमकिन ही नहीं, ये पॉसिबल ही. ऐसा कैसा हो? ऐसा पॉसिबल है क्या? How is this even possible? Miracle after miracle, miracle after miracle, one after the other. मतलब आए दिन miracle ऐसा. That kind of things happened in Prabhupada Leela. So he just went and he so intelligently, he knew that Indians, if an Indian comes and tells them कि आप भक्ति करो, तो Indians क्या है? हम लोग बहुत शाणे हैं, लोग बहुत इंटेलिजेंट है, अपने आप को बहुत इंटेलिजेंट समझते हैं. हम लोग को कोई आके बोला भक्ति करो, मैं क्यों करूं? मैं क्यों करूं? तुम करो. नहीं, मैं कर ही रहा हूं, आप भी करो. मेरे को नहीं करना है, मेरे को अभी नहीं करना है, मैं बाद में करूँ. ये वाली भक्ति नहीं, मैं अलग वाली करूंगा, मैं मेरे स्टाइल की भक्ति करूंगा. सब एक ही है. दिस इज इंडियंस who think they are डेढ़ शाना. They are all डेढ़ शाना, सब डेढ़ शाना. So therefore, Prabhupada had already had experience of preaching in India, in Jhansi, really, and he got some success also, but he realized it's not going to grow beyond a point. So when he went to the Western world, once he saw that they had become enthusiastic, very intelligently understood. India में anything made in USA is hit. अभी इतना नहीं है, but till about 20 years back ये था. Anything made in, कोई भी US गया है, तो कोई cousin brother, कोई friend US गया है, तो मेरे लिए कुछ लेके आना, कुछ तो लाना, कुछ खाली हाथ मत आना, कुछ चॉकलेट लेके आना, कोई इलेक्ट्रॉनिक गुड्स लेके आना, टेप रिकॉर्डर लेके आना, कुछ तो लेके आओ, ऐसे मत आओ, right? Made in USA was very popular till 20 years back. Now made in India, because made in India is good enough, it's good quality. So made in USA, so he exploited this point, Prabhupada, and very mercifully he brought the Americans to India. You know, today morning Gaurang Prabhu, he mentioned that because of the contribution of these Americans who Prabhupada brought to India from the US, he brought them to India. Because of their contribution, today in India there are 400 temples. लोग कहते हैं ना, इस्कॉन में यहां का पैसा वहां जा रहा है. एक्चुअली इट इज एग्जैक्ट रिवर्स. वास्तव में इसका एग्जैक्ट रिवर्स है. दैट वहां से पैसा इधर आया और उस पैसे से यहाँ पे पहले 3, 4, 5, 10, 15 टेम्पल बने. एंड उन्होंने जो लीडरशिप दिया, उस लीडरशिप से फिर और मंदिर बने. And whatever money is there in ISKCON stays in ISKCON. Each temple has its own source of funds. They don't give money to anybody. Still, people who are envious will try to spoil the name of ISKCON. But the point is, Prabhupada so intelligently brought these people back here because Americans को देख के लोगों को लगा, अरे ये कर सकते हैं तो हम क्यों नहीं कर सकते, हम भी करेंगे, right? It is like, क्या है कि अगर किसी को ऐसे ही बोला कि आप like sometimes what happens is when newcomers come to the temple for the first time, second time, उनको कोई पकड़ता है, बोलता है कि why don't you chant Hare Krishna? तो they say कि हाँ हाँ करेंगे, हम तो मन में करते रहते हैं, हमारा तो चालू ही रहता है हरे कृष्णा. ऐसे बात करते हैं लोग, right? They're not doing anything, but they will talk as though they are, मतलब सततम कीर्तयन्तो माम, सततम कीर्तयन्तो माम, ये जना पर्युपासते. I am on that level, उस तरह का बात करते हैं. But you ask them, चलो अभी बैठ के करो ना हमारे साथ, हम भी कर रहे हैं, साथ में बैठ के चाहते नहीं, वो मैं अभी थोड़ा बिजी हूँ. But sometimes they see a small child, कोई छोटा बच्चा वहां बैठा है, और वो छोटा बच्चा जो है वो बैठ के ऐसे फीडबैक के अंदर हाथ डाल के हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे, हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम राम राम. छोटा बच्चा, 6 साल का बच्चा, उसका शिखा रहेगा, वो शिखा ऐसा ऐसा हिल रहा है, and he's, हरे कृष्ण, शिखा is going back and forth. It's such an attractive sight. वो देख के कोई बताए यार, छोटा बच्चा कर रहा है, मैं मतलब इतना बड़ा घोड़ा हुआ हूं, मैंने कभी चैंटिंग ढंग का किया नहीं, चलो मैं भी करता हूँ. So Prabhupada, was so merciful. He went to the Western world and he brought back Krishna consciousness through these people so that we will be inspired. He sacrificed his whole life just so that, we can get Krishna consciousness. That is the mercy of Srila Prabhupada. There's a story recently in Leelamrit which came that, he was in Australia. Prabhupada had gone to Australia. And when he was in Australia, just naya temple बना था, new temple, okay? And deities Prabhupada ही लेके गए थे. He had taken Radha Krishna deities with him. And when he went to Australia, he saw that nothing is ready. There were few devotees there, थोड़े जन थे. Just few devotees were there, and he asked 2 devotees to stay there. I think Upendra and Balimardan, right? ऐसा कुछ, 2 जन. He asked them to stay there, and rest of the people all नया नवेला, उनको कुछ भी मालूम नहीं है, कुछ भक्ति के विधि कुछ भी मालूम नहीं. They didn't know anything. They're not at all trained. There was no time to train them because deities had already arrived. It is like, अगर कोई डिग्निटरी अपना HPCL कॉलोनी में आ जाए, सपोज सडनली चीफ मिनिस्टर टर्न्स अप ओवर हियर राइट नाउ, पीपल डोंट नो व्हाट इज प्रोटोकॉल, किसी को कुछ मालूम नहीं क्या करना है, कैसे इसको रिस्पेक्ट करना है, कैसे इनको वेलकम करना है, क्या बोलना है, क्या कुछ भी मालूम नहीं किसी को भी. नो वन नोज एनीथिंग, राइट? दैट वाज द सिचुएशन. सुप्रीम लॉर्ड हैज अराइव्ड, नो वन नोज हाउ टू वर्शिप, राइट? So Prabhupada spent some time trying to train them, But he realized that इतने कम time में कुछ होने वाला है नहीं. He realized, right? So what he did, he left two of his senior devotees there, Balimardan and Upendra. He told them, "You please stay here to train the devotees," and he prayed to the deities. He prayed to the deities that, my Lord, I I know that these boys and girls are not ready to worship you. मतलब वो तैयार नहीं है, परिपक्व नहीं है, उनको आता भी नहीं है क्या करना है, right? You please take care of yourselves. that you please bless them and you please take care of yourself. So he had so much mercy that he could have said, जाने दो यार, deities लेके जाओ, यहाँ पे किसी का औकात नहीं है. But he was so merciful, said, "Nahi, my Lord, you please take care of these devotees and let them, teach them how to take care of it." And he prayed and he left. And today, Melbourne Center, Sydney Center, famous temples, very, very famous, because someone felt merciful towards people of Australia. Someone felt merciful towards people of Hungary. Someone felt merciful towards people of France. Someone felt merciful towards people of India. Someone felt merciful towards people of USA, Canada, Germany, Africa. That someone was Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada ki, this is what is merciful. Friendly to all. Suridam. Another point that is mentioned is Suridam. Suridam means friendly to everyone. Not just friendly. Suridam means who's really matlab well-wisher and really very close friend को Surid बोलते. So Suridam. Because why is a sadhu a true friend of everybody? How is that possible? Because in the Gita there is a hint that is given. Vidya Vinaya Sampanne Brahmane Gavihastini Suni Cheva Swapakecha Pandita Samadarshini. So the saintly person sees everyone with equal vision. He sees everyone as spirit soul. He doesn't see that, oh, this is man, this is woman, this is child, this is teenager, this is young child. He sees everyone as spirit soul. तो उसको कोई फर्क नहीं पड़ता. And as a soul, as a sadhu, that sadhu feels compassionate to everyone, even if that person is not interested. सामने वाले को कोई इंटरेस्ट नहीं है, कोई इंटरेस्ट नहीं, फिर भी वो उतने ही enthusiasm से उनको preach करे. Prabhupada once his disciples had organized a program, somewhere in the US. बहुत उसका एडवर्टाइजिंग किया था, स्वामी फ्रॉम इंडिया वगैरह वगैरह. But there was no one. Room में hardly there were few devotees, few people, and few guests had come, and Prabhupada's disciples, few of them were there. That's it. कोई नहीं था. But Prabhupada, the same enthusiasm he was preaching, as though the whole hall is full. That is sadhu. That is what merciful. That is what suridam. That koi bhi ho, I will be friend. Vidya Vinay Sampan, you can see everyone as the same. Everyone as spirit, soul, part and parcel of Krishna. I'll give you an example of suridam. Everyone knows Radha Gopinath Prabhu, right? The mandir ki Radha Gopinath Prabhu. So one time, Braj Bihari Prabhu, another very senior and wonderful brahmachari of our temple, he wanted to meet Radha Gopinath Prabhu. सुनो सब लोग, ध्यान दो. So he wanted to meet with Radha Gopinath. उनको राधा गोपीनाथ प्रभु से मिलना था. फिर राधा गोपीनाथ प्रभु हमारे मंदिर के सबसे वरिष्ठ, सबसे सीनियर ब्रह्मचारी, मतलब सीनियर मोस्ट ब्रह्मचारी of our temple. So Raj Bihari Prabhu wanted to meet him. So he went to his room and door was open and Radha Gopinath Prabhu was talking to some boy. एक कोई लड़का था, young boy, young man. He was talking to him. And वो आदमी बड़ा agitated, animated way में राधा गोपीनाथ प्रभु से बात कर. So he thought maybe कोई discussion चल रहा है. He went. He came after 15 minutes. Still conversation is going on. He came after 1 hour. Still conversation is going on. He came after 2 hours. 2 घंटे बाद आया. Still conversation is going on. Finally that boy went and he left. So after he left, Braj Bihari Prabhu went inside his room and he asked him कि प्रभु जी कौन था? इतना टाइम आपने दिया उसको, कौन था ये? पता नहीं. He just came to me and he started talking. He wanted to share his problems and he wanted someone to hear him. So I heard him. 2-3 घंटा दे दिया तू जान ना पहचान, तू मेरा मेहमान. Just he came, he spent 2-3 hours with Radha Gopinath Prabhu, and Radha Gopinath Prabhu just patiently heard him out and को ठंडा किया और भेज दिया. ये होता है साधु. Suridam, friendly to all, no discrimination that तू ब्राह्मण है क्या, पहले तो बता, तेरा गोत्र बता, तो मैं तेरे से बात करेगा ना. Friendly to all. This is the sadhu bhushanam. These are the ornaments of a sadhu. They are suridam. Incidentally, these are also the qualities of the Supreme Lord. Krishna says in the Gita, na, Bhoktaram Yajna Tapasam Sarva Loka Maheshwaram Suridam Sarva Bhutanam Gyatva Mam Shanti Mrichati. So he says, Suridam Sarva Bhutanam, well wisher to everybody, friend, eternal friend of everybody. This is not an easy thing. It's easy to say, statement mana, yeah, I am also friendly to everyone. But are we really well wisher of everybody? We have our selfish interests. We have our limited, consciousness where we, हम अपना फायदा ही देखते हैं ज्यादा करके. हर चीज में हम लोग अपना फायदा देखते हैं. हम लोग ये नहीं सोचते कि ये करने से ये बंदे का भला हो जाएगा, तो मेरा फायदा नहीं है तो भी कोई बात नहीं, आई विल डू दिस. आई डोंट लाइक टू बी हियर, but I will still do it because it is beneficial to him. So people don't think like that. We are all very selfish. We all have our petty, छोटे मोटे चीजों पे हम लोग उत्तेजित हो जाते हैं. We become angry. We become agitated. Because of that, we are willing to give up everything. We are willing to give up our bhakti. We are willing to give up our association of devotees. We are willing to give up our service. Why? गुस्सा आ गया. I'm angry. I didn't like the way you talked to me. So we are so petty. But you look at this Supreme Lord, Suridam Sarva Bhutanam. कोई फर्क नहीं पड़ता है. See how many people love Krishna, right? How many people love Krishna? Yeah, some of us in this room love Krishna, okay? But even our love for Krishna, is it ahituki? We want something. तो कुछ तो चाहिए यार. कुछ नहीं तो अनर्थ निवृत्ति तो दे दो. आई एम सो ट्रबल्ड बाय अनर्थ. कुछ नहीं तो थोड़ा मुक्ति दे दो. कुछ तो दो. हाँ, इतना फाइट मार रहे हैं इतने सालों से भगवान. हाँ, दर्शन दो घनश्याम. हाँ, नाथ मोरे अखियां प्यासी रे. हम लोग मतलब यार कुछ तो दो हमको भगवान. तो हम लोग बहुत से कुछ तो चाहते हैं. But Lord doesn't want anything from us. Just think, so many lifetimes, billions of lifetimes, we have been completely in forgetfulness of Krishna. But He has not given us up for one. एक पल के लिए उन्होंने हमको छोड़ा. This is Suridam. These are the qualities of a sadhu. That the sadhu will always be well wisher, even if you don't care about them. Very big calling. Okay. Another thing, no enemy. Suridam, it is said, what is that? Ajata Shatravaha. That means no enemy. ये तो बड़ी बात है. So it is not that people don't consider them as enemy. People may consider them as enemy, but they don't consider anyone as enemy. They don't see anyone as enemy. So Prahlad Maharaj could have very easily seen his father as enemy, no? Enemy only है. और क्या बोलेंगे इसको? अरे जान के पीछे पड़ा है, तो enemy ही हुआ ना. He never considered his father as enemy. So others may be envious. In fact, Prabhupada says in the purport of this verse, he says that sometimes others may be envious, especially those who are sadhus. The world is such a nasty place that people are envious of sadhu. मतलब जो सूर्यदम सर्वभूतानाम है, उसके लोग envious हो जाते. People can't stand. People can't tolerate a sadhu. Have you ever thought about why that happens? क्यों होता है ऐसा? अगर आप ऑफिस में जाते हो, बोलते हो कि मैं चाय कॉफी नहीं पीता, मैं कोई आके आपको सिगरेट ऑफर कर, सिगरेट नहीं, आई डोंट स्मोक. चाय डोंट स्मोक, ओके. चाय कॉफी नहीं, चाय कॉफी भी हम लोग नहीं पीते. चाय कॉफी, मतलब उनको क्या लगने लगता है कि यार ये कुछ विचित्र प्राणी है, विचित्र प्राणी। चाय नहीं पीता मतलब क्या है, मतलब तुम जिंदा कैसे हो, हाउ आर यू अलाइव? And sometimes what happens is like meat eating, non-veg, non-veg खाओ, non-veg नहीं खाते, करते क्या तुम लोग, ऐसा people feel. And sometimes they become envious. Why? Because they know that what you are doing is correct. उनको पता है कि आप सही चीज कर रहे हो, मन ही मन अंदर से उनको पता है कि आप जो कर रहे हो वो सही कर रहे हो, लेकिन फिर भी मैं नहीं कर पा रहा, आई एम नॉट एबल टू डू इट, आई डोंट हैव द पावर टू कंट्रोल माई सेंसेस। अरे बाकी चीज छोड़ो, एक कप चाय में 4 बजे शाम का चाय नहीं मिला तो आई बिकम मिजरेबल। लास्ट टाइम मैंने बोला था ना मेरा क्या सिचुएशन था। वी आर लाइक दैट, सो वी बिकम एनवियस इफ समबडी एल्स इज एबल टू इजीली गिव इट अप। उसमें क्या बड़ी बात है, मैं कभी भी छोड़ सकता हूं। क्या बड़ी बात, they become envious, they start criticizing, right? So Prabhupada says it's very unfortunate that sadhus, they many people consider them as enemy. They are envious of sadhus. इंडिया में स्पेशली प्रॉब्लम है, कोई साधु है तो उसको नीचे खींचने के लिए 1000 लोग खड़े हैं, they are envious, right? But they don't consider anyone as sadhu, anyone as enemy. Like in today's passage of Leela Amrit, today or yesterday, very powerful passage. I'll just quickly. One more thing. Okay, one more thing. In one very beautiful story, I forgot to tell. In the friendly Suridam, Suridam. So this is a story that was told by His Holiness Indratumna Maharaj, one of the disciples of Prabhupada. So Indratumna Maharaj was from America, but he had gone to France and he was preaching over there, and he had created some sort of a center in France. And Prabhupada had come to Paris for the first time. Okay, so these people were all preparing for Prabhupada to come. One day there was a knock on the temple door, and they opened the door, and there was a man standing there who was, dirty. He had obviously not bathed for many weeks. बहुत हफ्तों से उसने स्नान भी नहीं किया था, and looking very unkempt and dirty. His eyes were bloodshot. He was obviously intoxicated. He said, "Food, food." So and he was like, ऐसा मतलब bumpkin was ऐसा पूरा bum, complete bum. He was like looking so bad. So they said, "Okay, we'll give you some prasadam." They gave him some prasad and then they sent him away. So next day Prabhupada came. When Prabhupada came to Paris, the devotees next day morning they went for a walk with Prabhupada. Now this person was so dirty, they started calling him Pig Pen. Pig Pen का मतलब समझते हैं? Pig pen is a place where a pig lives, pig sty or a pig pen. So something that's very dirty. Pigs are dirty by nature, right? So they used to call him Pig Pen. Pig Pen was living in one of the bushes near the temple. वहाँ पे एक newspaper फैला के उधर ही रहता था. He lived there. Once in a way he would come for food to the temple. So when Prabhupada came, Prabhupada went with them for a walk. And while they were passing through this place where Pig Pen lives, Pig Pen lunged forward to catch Prabhupada's feet, to touch, to catch his feet. So somebody saw him and said, "Hey, catch him." किसी ने उसको देख लिया, पकड़ के उसको bushes में फेंक दिया. They threw him in the bushes so that he couldn't touch Prabhupada's feet. So what happened was, next day, so they threw him in the bushes. Then they went ahead for the walk. Then when they came back to the temple, they saw that the temple door was open. Because everyone had gone with Prabhupada except those who were doing the arti for the deities. Everyone had gone with Prabhupada for the walk. When they came back, they saw temple door is open. And when they came inside, Prabhupada came in first. Pig Pen was sitting there. And Pig Pen jumped ahead and he caught Prabhupada's feet. This time he succeeded in catching Prabhupada's feet. So when he caught Prabhupada's feet, the devotees, immediately someone said, "Catch him!" Someone catch him. Prabhupada said, "No, it's okay. It's okay." And Prabhupada, he just, he put his hand on Pig Pen's head And it's all right. And that person is like, he's like intoxicated in a drug state, looking horrible, dirty hair, dirty body. But Prabhupada was running his hand through his head and saying, it's okay, it's okay. Hare Krishna. That's all right, my boy. That's all right. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. So nobody moved. Everyone was stunned. कि यार ये पिग पेन को इतना मर्सी मिल रहा है, so after this happened, Prabhupada sat and started giving a lecture. When he was giving the lecture, Big Pen was sitting in the temple hall amidst everybody. सबके बीच में Big Pen बैठा है. Dirty body, horrible, but no one had the guts to touch him also. प्रभुपाद ने उनको इतना मर्सी दिया, इतना प्यार से, बाकी किसी को उतना मिला नहीं था. All those people were serving and nobody had got this. The Prabhupada ने सर पे ऐसा हाथ फिरा के, that's all right, my boy. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. Nobody had got. They were so after the lecture was over, some people were thinking that, shall we throw him out? क्या करें? निकाल दें, अभी वापस आएगा, वापस प्रभुपाद को disturb करेगा. They said, नहीं, Prabhupada, give him some mercy. Let's see what we can do. So they asked Big Pen, do you want to stay here? Big Pen couldn't even say yes here. He just said something like that. So they took him, they shaved him up, they gave him a bath, put him dhoti kurta. So Indradyumna Maharaj says, when he came out, I couldn't recognize Big Pen. He was looking so nice. He was like not painted in weeks, and like इतना सुंदर लग रहा था. तो उनको Big Pen को फिर वहीं पे they made him stay. But they think हमें रहेगा करेगा क्या? What will this fellow do? They said, can you say they thought that let's give him some service. So he started cleaning the pots. मतलब जो प्रसाद लेने के बाद जो vessels रह जाते हैं, he started cleaning that. So he got regular service. So he started staying in the temple, Big Pen. Okay. Now what happened was, after some time, it was book distribution time, marathon. December marathon started. So Big Pen, he said that, I also want to do book distribution. So he, when they were going for book distribution, वो van जाता था book distribution. Big Pen जाके first seat पे जाके बैठ गया van का. So they asked him, Big Pen, what are you doing here? You go wash the pots. He said, I want to, Prabhupada saved me. So he said, Prabhupada saved me. They asked him, what are you doing here? Like he said, I want to go on Sankirtan. I want to go for book distribution. So he said, Big Pen, you're doing good job in cleaning the temple. क्या जरूरत है ये सब करने का? Because they thought कि यार ये क्या बात करेगा? दो शब्द बोलने को आता नहीं है ढंग से. क्या बात करेगा ये? What will this fellow do? He said, no, why do you want to do this? He said, Prabhupada saved me. He said, okay, we'll give you a chance. You can clean the van. So as soon as the van reached the spot where they were going to do book distribution, the plan was वहां रुकेगा, पहले प्रसाद लेंगे, फिर निकलेंगे. Van रुका. Big Pen jumped out of the van and started going and approaching people. My God, ये क्या बात करेगा Big Pen? What he will talk? दो शब्द बोलने को नहीं आता है ढंग से, But they noticed after some time he came back and his bag was empty. They thought he must have just dumped the books. No, someone came and said, no, he distributed. I saw him distributing. He has taken Lakshmi and he has distributed the books. So, very interesting that they asked him that, Big Pen, how did you do that? What did you tell the people? क्या बोला उनको books देने के लिए? To sell Bhagavad Gita, to sell other books. What you told them? He said, Prabhupada saved me. That's all. उतना ही बोला, that Prabhupada saved me. That was his mantra, that Prabhupada had transformed him. So, what Indradyumna Maharaj's realization, he's saying that what is the sadhu sangha, sarva shastra hoy, lava matra sadhu sangha, sarva siddhi hoy. This person was transformed simply by Prabhupada rubbing his head. That's it. And he was like a complete bum, like drug addict, intoxicated. जब रास्ते का सब भिखारी टाइप, ऐसा टाइप का आदमी, एक एक दिखते ना रास्ते पे, तो ड्रग्स पी के ऐसा धुंध है, ऐसा आदमी, just by that one touch of Prabhupada was transformed. So Prabhupada did not discriminate even the person like this. This is Suridam. You understand? Many years later, this person was initiated. Some years later, he was initiated as Rasada Das. He served in France for many years, then he was in US, and even in US, he was distributing. This is the touch of a pure devotee, of a sadhu, right? So you see, no enemy, right? I'm saying no enemy. No enemy, in this passage of the क्या बोलते हैं इसको of Leelamrit. Okay, so in Leelamrit, this passage comes. I just read this passage. It's so interesting. This is in Calcutta. This is in Calcutta in the early 1970s when Naxalites were very strong. Naxalites मालूम है सबको? Naxalites were very strong and they were not allowing, they were killing businessmen, they were killing people because they wanted to put communism. So once what happened was when Prabhupada was having a Pandal program, these Naxalites sent a letter to Prabhupada, fly or die. मतलब निकलो यहाँ से, because they realized that he was having an impact. Spirituality रहेगा तो communism का कोई मतलब नहीं है. So they said fly or die. But Prabhupada ignored. He first went to the police. He said that we have got this threat. Police said nothing can be done. The Naxalites are so violent, nothing can be done to them. Better you stop your program. Prabhupada said, I will not stop him. So he continued his program. Then these Naxalites came, bada pandal program. Imagine if some people come here and start breaking the chairs and threatening people. कितने लोग यहाँ पे टिके रहेंगे? सब निकल जाएंगे ना. मैं खुद पहला मैं ही भागूंगा. अरे बाप रे, जान बचाओ, right? So they were doing this, but Prabhupada, when he was observing all this, there was noise happening. These people are banging the chairs. They're threatening people. Why are these VIPs sitting in front? सबको एक ही सीट मिलना चाहिए. ये वो मतलब commotion raise कर रहे हैं. And then Prabhupada, he started chanting from Brahma Samhita. He ignored as though ये कुछ चल ही नहीं रहा. He just took the mic and he started chanting from Brahma Samhita, and he started chanting Brahma Samhita and started his lecture. After some time, everything settled down. थोड़े peaceful हो, and जिनको जाना था वो निकल गए, जिनको रुकना था वो रुक गए, and program हो गया. But again, they got a threat: fly or die. So this time Prabhupada said, I'd like to meet them. मेरे को इनसे मिलना है. So the disciples of Prabhupada told him, don't, Prabhupada, they are very dangerous people. They could, kill you. Prabhupada said, no, I want to meet. So when they came to meet him, Prabhupada spoke to them and he explained to them what is spiritual communism. Communism का मतलब क्या है कि everyone is equal. There is no rich or poor. सब लोग, that is what the concept of communism, because it is against capitalism where someone is rich and someone is poor. Communism means either everyone is poor or everyone is rich, everyone equal, right? So Prabhupada explained to them the concept of spiritual communism, where everyone is equal in the eyes of God. Surida Sarva Bhutana. He gave them that concept. They became peaceful and they didn't disturb the program any longer. Right? So this again, example of no enemies. He is not affected by this. Peaceful, another thing, peaceful. Sadhu is peaceful because he knows that, why is a sadhu peaceful? Very interesting, in the purport, Srila Prabhupada mentions, why is sadhu peaceful? A sadhu is peaceful because he understands. In the Gita, Krishna says, Vasudeva Sarvam Iti Sa Mahatma Sudurlabha. One who knows that Krishna is everything. Krishna is everything. So, koi bhi cheez ho, whatever is coming by Krishna's will. This is Krishna. Hare Krishna. Everything is coming by Krishna's will. Everything is Krishna. So, if a sadhu is not disturbed by anything, उसे कोई फर्क नहीं पड़ता कि कोई मेरे सामने खुश है, कोई unhappy है. I will give them Krishna. That's it. That is why he is always peaceful. And the most important one, right? And he's also ever well-wishing friend of everybody. Suridam Sarva Bhutana. Therefore, he is very peaceful because he doesn't see anyone as enemy. So he is happily giving Krishna to everybody. This is the sign of a Sadhu, very peaceful. And lastly, abides by scripture. We said that this is the most important thing. See, many gurus and holy people, okay, they came to the Western world before Prabhupada. बहुत सारे लोग हैं. Many of them came before Prabhupada. But what did they do? They made compromises. They diluted the essence of the scripture just to get disciples and followers. So that, कैसे भी करके कोई followers मिल जाए. So they never emphasize that you have to give up, meat eating, intoxication, illicit sex, gambling. They never emphasize. कोई ये बोलेगा तो कोई आएगा ही. Nobody will come. Nobody will be interested. They didn't emphasize these things. They only caught on to some trend कि यहाँ पे अभी योगा चल रहा है तो योगा का ट्रेंड चालू किया किसी ने वैदिक चैंट्स का चालू किया, किसी ने कुछ और चालू उपनिषद्स का स्टडी चालू किया. But no one gave what is the real essence of scripture. But Prabhupada never compromised on Bhagavad Gita or Srimad Bhagavatam philosophy just to get followers. Never. Till the last moment. From the time 1965 when he landed in the US, he was struggling like anything. Around the same time now, this is that period, around August, that Prabhupada landed in the US. He was struggling like anything. It was really tough. But he did not compromise. There is in the Leelamrita it is mentioned, there was one more person with whom he was staying. That person had a lot of followers because he was giving a diluted version. But Prabhupada would never compromise. He would always speak the undiluted message of the Gita. So, as it is mentioned in verse 22, such a sadhu engages in staunch devotional service to the Lord without deviation. Another characteristic of sadhu ki he is engaged in bhakti. वो क्या साधु है जो खाली he is good to everybody. He has to be practicing. No, he said practice what you please. So he would practice bhakti without deviation. For the sake of the Lord, he renounces all other connections, family relationship, friendly acquaintances. वो सब छोड़ छाड़ के he is willing to dedicate his life completely for the service of the Lord. So does this mean that to be a sadhu you have to be a sannyasi necessarily? Not necessarily. One can be a sannyasi and not be a sadhu. One can be a sadhu and not be a sannyasi. Both are possible. The whole idea is my life meant for the pleasure of Krishna? What can I do? मैं क्या कर सकता हूँ? मेरे बस की मैं क्या कर सकता हूँ जिससे I can surrender to Krishna? So, such a sadhu is engaged constantly in chanting and hearing about me, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. This is what Lord Kapila is saying. That a sadhu is constantly engaged in chanting and hearing about me, and the sadhus do not suffer from material miseries because they are always filled with thoughts of my pastimes and activities. I'll read this purport of this last verse and then we'll end here. Okay. So text 23, what a beautiful purport. He says, Prabhupada says, translation, engaged constantly in chanting and hearing about me, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Sadhus do not suffer from material miseries because they are always filled with thoughts of my pastimes and activities. Purport. He says there are multifarious miseries in material existence. Koi shak? No doubt, right? Misery is everywhere. Today also Radha Maharaj mentioned that misery is very long lasting. You have very intense memories of our misery. Happiness का memories बहुत कम है इस दुनिया में. Misery lasts for very long. I am living example of that. बहुत साल से एकदम चल रहा है back pain, वो पीछा नहीं छोड़ता है. Going on forever, right? So multifarious miseries in material existence, those pertaining to the body and the mind, those imposed by other living entities, and those imposed by natural disturbances. But a sadhu is not disturbed by such miserable conditions. Why? Because his mind is always filled with Krishna consciousness. See, if you ever approach a sadhu, a real sadhu, genuine sadhu, talk to them about the nature of the material world. अरे मेरा जॉब में बहुत तकलीफ हो रहा है, मेरा ये हो रहा है, मेरी वाइफ ऐसी है, मेरा हस्बैंड ऐसा है, मेरे बच्चे ऐसे हैं, मेरे नेबर ऐसे हैं, मेरे कलीग्स ऐसे हैं, ये है वो है. To talk to them, they'll listen to you, but they'll bring the topic back to Krishna, right? Mind is always filled with Krishna consciousness, and thus he does not like to talk anything but the activities of the Lord. Maharaj Ambrish did not speak of anything but the pastimes of the Lord. Vachamsi Vaikuntha Gunarna Varnani. He engaged his words only in glorification of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. This is the characteristic of a sadhu, that they use their word, their vacho vegam, their ability to speak. They use it to glorify Krishna. Sadhus are always interested in hearing about the activities of the Lord or his devotees, since they're filled with Krishna consciousness. They are forgetful of material miseries. It's not that miseries don't affect them, they do. मतलब miseries रहेगा उनके life में भी, they will also have poor health, they will also have sometimes financial issues, they will have relationship issues, they will have, होगा सबके life में आता है, but they are forgetful, भूल जाते हैं वो लोग, क्यों? Because they are filled with Krishna consciousness. Ordinary conditioned souls, being forgetful of the activities of Lord, are always full of anxieties and material tribulations. On the other hand, since the devotees always engage in the topics of the Lord, they are forgetful of the miseries of the material existence. These are the characteristics of a sadhu. आगे से कभी किसी ने बोला कि ये तो साधु है, तो आप समझो कि रियल साधु क्या होता है. That is what is described. We'll end with this. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna. Srila Prabhupada ki, Srila Gurudev ki, Itai Gaur Premanandi. Hare. We'll do Kirtan. Any one question we can take. If there is anyone has any question, or we'll take Kirtan. Question or comment, anyone wants to ask? Without interacting with the sadhu, how do we? Yeah, so by all these qualities, right, you will see that they are always talking about Krishna. They're always talking about Krishna. You will see that they, on their face, you will see a certain peace. You will see that, they are Suridam. If you approach them, they'll not get agitated. These are the characteristics of sadhu. You can see from a distance also. The main characteristics is that they are unflinchingly engaged in devotional service to the Lord. That उनको कोई भी circumstance में अपना भक्ति नहीं छोड़ेंगे. That is the main characteristic, to recognize a sadhu from a distance. लंबे से भी आपको दिख जाएगा. See, it is interesting. See, we say there are 6 opulences. What are the 6 opulences? Beauty, fame, strength, knowledge, wealth, and renunciation. Renunciation, how can that be an opulence? Renunciation कैसे opulence हो सकती? But वो है. I remember, we were once, Sunday Bhagavatam होने के बाद, we were all sitting in the temple and we were chanting. I was walking and chanting. मेरा तो हमेशा से problem रहा है. I was walking and chanting. And suddenly His Holiness Radhanath Swami Maharaj, he entered the temple hall. Okay. वो temple hall में आए, simple, his whatever his his dhoti, kurta, whatever he is wearing, and he just had a bead bag in his hand. Quietly came, paid obeisance to Prabhupada. Quietly he went towards the altar. And he was standing there. What the whole मक्खियों के जैसे सब लोग भिन-भिना रहे उनके आसपास. Everyone is attracted to him. What is that? क्या है उनके पास? Even that renunciation that a sadhu has, वो देख के ही कुछ खास है, कुछ फैंसी कपड़ा नहीं पहना है या कुछ नहीं है. It's effulgence. There is this story. One time, one person was asked that how you came to bhakti. Prabhupada disciple asked him, how did you come to bhakti? So Big Pen का story सुन लिया. ये तो एकदम फंडू स्टोरी है, कुछ अलग ही है, मतलब अलग लेवल का स्टोरी है. But this story is very amazing. This person came to meet Prabhupada. Okay, and he was in a crowd of many people, so he could not personally meet Prabhupada. And while they were waiting, Prabhupada was eating an orange. He was eating an orange, so he would put a piece of orange in his mouth. and you pop it like this. पुराने जमाने के लोग ऐसे खाते थे ना, हम लोग अभी ऐसे खाते. These pop it into his mouth, and when he popped it in his mouth, little juice would come out from the side, and then he would spit the seed. He would spit the seed, and that seed would go out of his mouth, hit the wall, and bounce into the dustbin every time. Well, just this, huh? You would spit the seed, it would hit the wall and bounce into the dustbin. बस ये देख के पर्सन ऐसा मोहित हो गया. ये क्या? What what kind of a transcendental person this is? Some people just saw him from a distance. They felt his body was effulgent. उनको देख के लगा, old man, 75-year-old man, bald. What? क्या? Just find this. Why is effulgence? And they said, my God, we must, surrender to this person. Sadhu is all attractive. Without having any wealth, he is all attractive. Hare Krishna. Srila Prabhupada, Srimad Bhagavad Mahapuran ki jai. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Gurudev ki jai. So let us do Kirtan for some time. Yes, you want to add?
What you mentioned, how do we recognize the devotee? So recently we had Rath Yatra in Jagannath. So when first time Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was there in during the Rath Yatra, first Rath Yatra, he was in Puri. So at that time, the Rath rope is there. The rope broke. The rope together. So then that time Chaitanya Mahaprabhu decided that one Kulina gram devotees were there. So he made them in charge of these ropes. He said every year you must bring a nylon rope and ensure that this rope is not broken. So he had assigned them that service. So then Kulina gram devotees asked Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, who is a devotee? Who is a Vaishnava? How do I recognize? So Mahaprabhu said, just even if somebody chants Krishna once, he is a devotee. You should consider him a devotee, and then that is the recognition. Then second year, they came, next year they came with a rope and all. And again, same question they asked. Who is a really devotee? How can they recognize? Then he says, Mahaprabhu, then he, increase the standard. He said, whoever is chanting always Satatam Kirtanam, always Krishna's name, you should understand that he is like Prabhuji mentioned, he is a devotee. Oh, they were happy and then they were practicing. And then third year they came. And third year they asked the same question. And then this is a very interesting thing. So, I'm just telling. So third time they asked, the Mahaprabhu said, just by whomever you are seeing, just by seeing him, you develop a desire to chant Hare Krishna, then he is a devotee. So that's what Prabhupada mentioned. Just by seeing him, we get a inspiration to take up Krishna consciousness. Just by seeing. So that is the symptom of this. Thank you.
Hare Krishna. So we'll do Kirtan now.